From country superstar Eric Church to singer-songwriter Ryan Bingham, some big names and broad musical styles are coming to St. Augustine. But behind the scenes, the Live Wildly Showcase aims to connect music fans to local conservation efforts. To tell us about it, I'm joined now by Meredith Budd. She's Director of Strategic Initiatives with the Live Wildly Foundation. Hey, Meredith.
Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning. Also joined by Dianya Markovits, Director of Public Relations for SJC Cultural Events and all-around cultural guru in St. Johns County. Nice to have you.
Very kind. Thank you. Good morning.
So we're going to get to the 13 headliners and festival details in a bit. But Meredith, tell us, if you will, what is the connection between live music and the goals of the Live Wildly Foundation?
Yeah, so Live Wildly Foundation is all about connecting people to nature and instilling value for wild Florida in people. And so when you are looking at a music festival that's outside in an area in a county that has such beautiful places that you can go out and recreate in, it's a really, really synergistic partnership to be able to promote the live music, the opportunities to be outdoors, not only at the festival, but in the surrounding areas that we have right here in St. Johns County.
And so what is Live Wildly and what does it do?
We are a 501c3 nonprofit family foundation, and we are dedicated to protecting wild Florida with the concept of balance. How do we balance economic development with the protection needs for wild Florida, natural resources, wildlife needs? We have 1,000 people moving to the state every single day, and that's okay. We need to find balance. We have to accommodate the growth, but make sure that we're protecting what makes Florida so special at the same time.
And so the group kind of operates under the philosophy that that's possible, right? That it's possible to
Yes.
balance a lot of growth with preserving the natural environment. And yet it seems like so often those things are in conflict.
Yeah, it definitely is possible. It takes a lot of forward thinking. It takes a lot of planning, and it takes a lot of initiative, not only from our elected officials, but from the people that live in the communities that we call home here in Florida. And so it is certainly possible. There are ways to build in a way that is compatible with our wild places, our natural resources, our water, our wildlife. We need to pick the places that are of lesser environmental value to place development, and we need to pick the places that are of greater environmental value to protect and set aside for conservation and for protection.
If you're just joining us, we are talking about the Live Wildly Foundation and the festival that is going to accompany it in just a couple weeks. I'm joined by Meredith Budd, Dianya Markovits, and you're welcome to join our conversation. You can call us at 904-549-2937, or you can email firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. So, Dianya, this is a music festival, but it has traditionally had this partnership. So explain a little bit about the festival, its origins, and this is the Sing Out Loud Festival, I should say, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was introduced in 2016, so it's been around for almost 10 years. This is our 8th year. Do some quick math. That's 8. 8
Good job.
years.
Not bad for a Monday morning, Diana. Nice.
8 years, and it's always been in September, and there's a very specific reason for that. St. Johns County's economy is based on tourism. September is one of the worst times of year for visitation, is the lowest time of the year for visitation. So we launched this in 2016 for every September. It's throughout the month of September, and it's really to highlight, started off as a way to highlight our local and regional artists. And it's just grown to this massive marquee event over the weekend of September 21 and 22. But one of the core values has always been philanthropy, is a big part, in addition to supporting our local economy and our local artists. Every year we partner with a philanthropy to give back through ticket sales. We've given over $400,000 since the start of this festival. We're incredibly proud, especially it's just such an apropos time to focus on land conservation here in Florida and especially in St. Johns County. So we're incredibly proud to have partnered with Live Wildly Foundation this year.
Yeah. And so how do you select your nonprofit that you're going to benefit?
For sure. That's a great question. Last year, for example, we partnered with the First Responders Project, which helped to offset PTSD for first responders through training and retreats, as well as we put music instruments into all 47 public schools in St. Johns County. So it really does speak to each year's, the need for each year. And we believe that with the current state of land conservation in Florida and the rate of development, this year, it really makes a lot of sense to have conservation at the forefront of it. I suspect that this is going to be a long-term partnership because of, it just, you're racing against the rate of development and how to balance those two, as Meredith had mentioned. How do you balance the rate of growth with land conservation? And that's so many reasons why people come to Florida, is to come visit our beautiful landscapes. So to pair that with a large music festival where you've got tens of thousands of people's eyes and ears, that's a great way to share that message.
So I probably need to ask you, I mean, at this time, you made this decision to partner with Live Wildly a long time ago, I'm guessing. But recently, the issue of, how we conserve our natural spaces, whether we maintain a commitment to keep things like our state parks, wild or
Mhm.
wilder than they might become. Has that kind of focused this partnership a little bit in your mind or in the mind of the organizers in terms of messaging, particularly to people in St. Johns County that were so vocally opposed to that idea?
Absolutely. It really was a rallying cry from all parts of Florida, especially, Anastasia State Park is just such a treasure, as all of our state parks are. They're gold award-winning state parks for the entire United States. So yes, it is it is a time for loud voices and lots of attention on land conservation in St. Johns County. It is the fastest growing county in Florida as well. And I think that there's a big push to hopefully connect what Live Wildly has worked so hard on, is the Florida Wildlife Corridor, and trying to figure out a way for protecting of lands and landscapes for animals to migrate. So this is a phenomenal time to really bring the very large, like I said, thousands of eyes and ears on this project.
Yeah. And Meredith, you operate outside of St. Johns County, though, right? You have a larger footprint. So where are your works mostly focused?
So, Live Wildly Foundation is statewide. We focus on critical areas that we are able to connect in, especially here in St. Johns County. This year, we were very fortunate to be connected with the Sing Out Loud Festival, and so a lot of our effort has this year been focused here in Northeast Florida. But as Diana had mentioned, we have been really strongly focused on the Florida Wildlife Corridor, which is an 18 million acre landscape across the entire state that was dedicated or put into law, I should say, in 2021. It is in Florida statute, that 18 million acre landscape. Not all of it's protected. So of the 18 million acres, you have 10 million acres that are in conservation or in protection of some form, but the remaining 8 million acres are what are known as opportunity areas, meaning those areas are still under private ownership. Some of that's going to get converted to development, but we need to do our best in order to maintain connectivity. So that's where Live Wildly's focus has primarily been, in looking at how do we make sure that the Florida Wildlife Corridor remains an intact natural landscape across the state of Florida.
And describe for us where that corridor runs.
It runs all the way from the Panhandle down to the Florida Keys. It is fully connected at this point in time, so there is a way for wildlife to move quite literally from the most southern tip of Florida all the way up to the Panhandle currently. But that's including the 8 million acres that are not in protection. So in order to make sure we have connectivity maintained in perpetuity, we need to be collectively, we being everyone that's passionate about land conservation in Florida, be focused on how we maintain those 8 million acres, or a large portion of those 8 million acres, in some form of protection.
So how did you come to conservation yourself? I mean, what makes you passionate about Florida landscapes, and what's your background?
So I have been in the conservation space my entire career. I, back in high school, was committed to wildlife and animals, and so my undergraduate and graduate work is in the sciences and in policy, environmental policy. And so it was very synergistic fit when the opportunity at Live Wildly came about. I've been working in environmental policy again for the most of my career, and I've been with Live Wildly for almost 2 years now.
And the challenge, as you say, in Florida is somewhat different than other places, mostly because of the growth, that
Mhm.
enormous amount of people moving in every day. So are there areas that you think exemplify what Live Wildly believes can happen in terms of adjacency, wildlife, and people living in a way that works?
Well, I think that generally, I'll just note that there has been a lot of support in our state for land conservation over the last years, especially since the dedication of the Florida Wildlife Corridor. There has been bipartisan support for land conservation. The corridor designation was unanimously supported at our state level, which is a pretty rare event.
Right.
And so it's been kind of exciting over the last few years being in the land conservation space to see both sides of the aisle come together on what makes our state so special. I think there are communities out there that are doing a really great job of balancing the development needs with the needs for natural resources. One in particular is Babcock Ranch down in the southwest part of the state. We saw how well they weathered storms. It was reported upon pretty widely.
People may not know, but the story of Babcock. But tell us a little bit about that community because it really is unusual.
Yeah, Babcock Ranch is a very sustainable, is a good way that I would describe it. It's a sustainable based community. It integrated solar. It was one of the first communities to really integrate solar into the way that it's been developed and built out. The way that it's been set aside, or whether the land that was set aside in order to develop Babcock was significant. A large portion of land was dedicated to conservation in the approval process for Babcock Ranch. And so it's been a really good example and a good model for how we can find that balance.
It also has these like able to withstand, Category 5 hurricane buildings, right? It's
Yes, yes,
sustainable.
and in the most recent events, the hurricane events that we saw really hit Southwest Florida really hard. Babcock weathered the storms very, very well.
All right, so let's talk music a little bit, Diana. This festival, it's a 2-day festival. It's at Francis Field, which is right downtown St. Augustine. Who's coming? Who are the headliners, and who are you most excited about?
Definitely. 13 headliners. It's quite packed over 2 days, 21 and 20, September 21 and 22. The headliners are Eric Church, country music superstar Eric Church on that Saturday. And then Sunday is Noah Kahan and Norah Jones. I would say that those two are they're just the heavyweights there. But for me personally, Kevin Morby, hands
Okay.
down. I've followed his career. He's been playing for a very, very long time. But yeah, so for me, Kevin Morby, but you've got 13 to choose from, plus all the local acts that are playing leading up to this big weekend festival as well. I think we just counted 130 local and regional acts. And those are all free performances. And then again, leading up to that marquee event on the 21st and 22nd in downtown St. Augustine.
Yeah, and so that main event is downtown, but all of these other venues around the city are being utilized by these local bands, often other bands that are. So, how many venues are you using?
We have about 12 venues around St. Augustine. So we always used to call it trick or treating for live music. So you can literally get on your bike or just walk around and go to various venues and see a bunch of live music, a diversity of live music. And that's all for free. And it's really this beautiful lead up to this massive, 2-day event at Francis Field that, again, has all been focused on conservation this year.
Yeah. So if people are interested in attending either the free events around town or the big 2-day festival, how do they get tickets? Are tickets still available?
Tickets are still available. They have been going quite fast. The Noah Kahan is one of the most, he's a festival favorite. So those have been going really, really fast. But you can go to singoutloudfestival.com. That's singoutloudfestival.com and peruse the entire schedule, again, over 130 acts, and as well as getting those tickets to the Live Wildly showcase on the 21st and 22nd.
You're going to have a busy couple weeks, I'm guessing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I know I'll always see you out there too.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited about it. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Meredith Budd, Dianya Markovits. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.